The masses are finally starting to wake up. Are you seeing it out there? You're starting to see it in the news. The things that we've been saying, the conspiracy theories, are all suddenly getting proven true. That's been happening over the past year, but especially over the past number of weeks. Moody's, one of the credit rating agencies out there, calculated that Americans are spending this year $709 more on average per person than they were 2 years ago for the same things. I don't know about you, whether you've gotten a pay raise of $709 over the past 2 years, or if you're just being crunched all the harder. Now, people are starting to wake up because of that, and as well as a lot of the other things happening in our society. But what they do next is what's going to determine the nature of the crisis that we're going to have very, very shortly. We're going to be talking about what's going on, what's waking people up, and what they might do next. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant, and we discuss on this channel things that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. Mainstream media keeps calling these things conspiracy theories, but really, in fact, they are conspiracy facts. We're seeing absolute evidence of things out there. We're looking at numbers, and we're seeing what's happening. Whereas most people are still sleepwalking, and they're walking right into the midst of a crisis. Now, one of the things I just want to lay out there again and again, because there's often this misconception that shortages are caused by people hoarding. People hoarding and people stockpiling are a result of a shortage, not the cause of it. Every time that happens, people go to the store and they see that there's no rice, or they see that there's no something out there, and they immediately are told by the media, oh, it's some evil people out there. They've bought more than their fair share. But the simple fact is that when we have less supply, there just isn't as much to go around. So don't be hesitant to go out there and purchase things ahead of time to get stocked up, because when that's happening, you're not going to want to be the guy or the gal with 6 bags of rice sitting in your cart and everyone's looking at you because you're the problem. You're the one causing the shortage. It's better to do that now, folks, and get that stocked up so that when all this craziness happens, you don't have to go to the store. See, we have a hardship that comes into our lives as a society or as individuals, but then we have a response to that hardship. How will we respond? And then what happens is others are impacted by our response to that. So imagine you have a business. Their sales are down, and so what do? They start laying off workers. Those workers' lives are tremendously impacted, of course, so they can't spend as much money out there, and we have all this people laid off, so they can't spend money, so that means that other companies are going to have to lay off more workers. We have these cycles. We have these economic cycles where we have this boom period where everyone is making more money, and so therefore they're spending more money, which means other people are making more money, which means they can spend more money, and it's a good economic cycle. But it also works the other way. When things start to contract, when we move into a recession, it purges out the bad businesses. It purges out the people who weren't saving up. People who made bad decisions. And it's painful. It always is. Hardships are painful. We've all had dark periods in our lives, but I think many of us would look back at those dark periods of our lives and say that they built us into the character and the morals and the strength that we get because of those dark periods. In the same way with a nation or a society, these dark periods truly do define us, whether we rise to the challenges of them or we don't. Whether we panic and turn into a mob that goes after anyone that we think might be responsible for the things that we're now suffering, or whether we reach out to our neighbors in love and kindness and graciousness. Unfortunately, I think that we are devolving to the point as a society where people are having a hard time seeing past themselves. I see that to an extent in the comments of videos on these channels not all of you, for sure, but a surprising number of folks saying, I'm just going to take care of me and mine, and everyone else, well, they can go take a hike. And that's with folks who are getting more prepared and who will hopefully have a little bit to share in hard times. What about the people who are not prepared? How will they respond? Will they be generous with the things that they don't have? Or will they panic and become angry and get their pitchforks and torches out to be part of the roving mob? I say that figuratively or possibly literally too. We see more and more when people get upset. They go out there and they think it's all right to smash windows and steal everything from a store. There's no consideration to the owners of the store. There's no consideration to the people that are working there. They just keep telling themselves that the insurance companies will pay for it. Friends, the era of infinite money raining down out of the heavens is coming to a close. Sure, the money will keep raining down out of heaven. The Federal Reserve and the United States government will keep raining money down on people, but the problem is that the money will become worthless. When you're at a celebration and they rain confetti down on you, do you go around and you scoop up all the confetti? No, you don't, because that's worthless paper. Friends, the $1 bills are about to be worthless, even less worthwhile than confetti. Confetti at least has a purpose. A $1 bill, once it loses its value, is not even worth being used as confetti. So we're moving into a period where the dollars in our lives are going to disappear in value. Not just the paper dollars, but also the digital dollars in your bank accounts. Wherever you can store something in dollar denominations. Some folks were asking me about getting like money orders or hiding in like post office money orders and such like that. Well, it's still in dollars, right? So it doesn't get you out of the problem. If you get a certificate of deposit, that's in dollars. Anything that you do in which your things are denominated in dollars. Now, like gold and silver, they're not, while we price them in dollars, their value isn't tied to the dollar. In fact, it's actually kind of inverse. As the dollar goes down in value, it's more dollars per ounce of silver or gold or whatever. And so, with the crisis that's coming, the mob is going to start turning. We saw this during the cough, didn't you? They got on the television and they said, this is what we need to do. The things that cover your face will not help you whatsoever. Do not purchase them. Because we need them for the people in the hospitals. And then a week later they said, everyone needs to have something to cover their face. Because now, as opposed to last week, these things are the only thing going to save your lives. In fact, if people around you aren't wearing them, they're going to kill you. So make sure you enforce this on other people. Tell them how evil and selfish they are being for not wearing one of these things. And you just saw how people just all jumped on board with that. And you look at the things like 1 week difference, and they went from being completely useless to being the only thing that will keep you alive. And then, of course, we've seen flip-flops one after the next. And yet the mob, in their emotion and in their energy and zeal, started to... It wasn't the police that were punching people in the face for not putting something on. It was moms. It was middle-aged people freaking out, yelling at people, attacking people. We often think of a mob being in a riot in a city or something like that, but we got to see firsthand that happening at Sam's Clubs and at Walmarts. We got to see that happen at school board meetings. Friends, people are starting to wake up that we truly are in crisis. And when they shake themselves awake, they are going to want somebody to give them answers. And sadly, they're not going to think through things. They're not going to listen to people who are well-reasoned. They're going to listen to somebody who's screaming, who has some form of authority. And oftentimes it's the government. We saw this before, and as we move into this next crisis, believe me, you will see it again. As the shadow war is collapsing in Eastern Europe, we're losing folks. Even CNN is now coming out and saying we're losing. But weren't we told for a year and a half that there was no way we could lose? But now apparently we've lost. How unthinkable was that? If you listen to channels like this one and others where we try to actually talk about, I don't know, facts and truth, I've made no bones about it. I'm on Team America. Why? Because that's where I live. I don't want the other guys to win because that means that we're going to lose. I don't like how we ended up in this position, and I think that we should hold the people that got us into this position accountable. But once you've gotten into a fight, you can't just walk out of it. I mean, there's a way that things just keep escalating. And hopefully you can get somebody who can talk us out of it, who can get us out of things. But the thing is, we've done an awful lot of bad to other people, and they haven't forgotten. The relationships are not going to be patched up with some Scotch tape. The people that we're fighting against in Bear Country, they're not going to forget what we did. That while they were down, we came along and kicked them in the head. That's what we did. Okay? We're selling them we're giving them all sorts of weapon systems that are advanced, and they were used to kill people from Bear Country. They're not going to forget that. So next time we're in some place with our soldiers at risk, if they have the opportunity to do the same thing to us, you think that they won't do the same thing to us? They absolutely will. Friends, what goes around comes around. What you sow, you will also reap if you listen to the Bible. The people are waking up. The world is waking up. They're calling the bluff of the United States. We've been the bully for 70 years, and the world has had enough. People are waking up inside the United States, realizing that things are coming to an end. And when they panic, will the stock market crash? Will they raid the stores and nothing but empty shelves left at Walmart and at grocery stores out there? Will people elect a scary slate of people into office? We've seen that before. I'm not talking about like people going there to reform things. I'm talking about truly scary people. That's what happened after the Weimar Republic in Germany. They elected and they got behind some truly scary people because they were responding to the chaos in their culture. As people wake up, they will make choices. And friends, you need to be aware of those choices. You got to see where that mob is going, and you need to be nowhere near when that goes down. All right, folks, keep thinking, keep getting ahead of things. Get stocked up because you don't want to be at the store when people are going crazy. When it turns into Black Friday every day at the store, you're going to wish you can just stay home. Because you may need some rice, but you don't want to get punched in the head for it. You don't want somebody taking a hammer to your skull because of that. You don't. And you say, Steve, you're exaggerating or whatever. You go to South Africa and you're seeing that kind of thing. You go to places in the Middle East and you're seeing that kind of thing. You go to India, that happens. You go to places in Somalia. I'm not making this kind of stuff up. That's when the world realizes how thin and fragile the line between civilization and chaos is. We go right across that little line into chaos very easily and very quickly. Whether it's some YouTuber saying he's going to give away some PlayStations in New York City, or whether it's a country that's losing a war in Eastern Europe. Truly apocalyptic scenes in Hawaii, in Eastern Europe, places like Lebanon. All over the world, we're seeing when people wake up and start making some big choices, they impact everybody around them. Be aware of the mob, be aware of where it's turning its head, and don't be anywhere near where it's headed, because you don't want any part of that, friends. The safest thing to do is to not be wherever everything is going down. All right, folks, keep your head out of the sand and keep your head on a swivel. All right, folks, if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.